Hey guys. Okay, so in this video, I just want to show you how to deploy a ComfyUI server, and we're going to use a service called Runpod. So if you ever need to scale a team up, in very short order, or if you are simply working at home and need more GPU power for maybe you're working on a project and you've only got sort of your workhorse PC at home. This is a really cheap and efficient way to get access to more GPU compute. It's quite inexpensive, it's really easy to set up, and can work in a pinch for a lot of reasons. In fact, it's so easy to set up, there's very little reason to not scale sort of immediately to this as soon as you notice kind of any sort of bottleneck at all. So let's get into it. Um, so I generally use a service called Runpod here. It's very straightforward. We'll walk through the entire process to launch a new ComfyUI instance. Close some of these tabs. Okay. These tabs. Okay. So this is the home page, and basically what you're going to do is you would just load some money onto your account. First, you just sign up, make an account. You can load a bit of money onto it, and you'll notice here on the side, there's a number of different services that they offer. I mean, basically, they're a cloud service provider for compute. You can run sort of serverless instances. So if you know what these are, this is great. We're going to end up running sort of a regular pod here. We're going to deploy the pod in a second. You can actually set up like full clusters here, and you can do this sort of a la carte, pay as you go, or you can do sort of like a long-term arrangement where you always have access to a specific amount of compute that your team requires. So again, a great service to keep in mind. Storage. We'll cover this in a second here, but it's very easy. You can basically set up a new network volume and fine tuning. This is if you are going to be doing specific work on these machines. And then of course, like templates, you can save these. We'll cover this in a moment. And then of course here billing. So it's pretty much it. Yeah, let's go through some of these. So storage. This is actually quite an important piece of the puzzle. And the reason for that is basically, if you take a look here, so Runpod has, an arrangement with data centers around the world. And so we want our network storage in the same location as the GPUs that we're going to be sort of renting on a per hour basis. So it doesn't do us any good if there's these massive kind of transmit times between the two locations. So you're going to want to choose somewhere that's close to you. That's part of it. But also, in addition to that, you want to be looking at locations where the types of GPUs that you want to rent are have high availability. It doesn't do you any good if you are sort of renting, if your data is sitting very close to you. Like you might in a game server, let's say if you're playing like an online game, you want as little lag as possible. That's not really a priority when we're talking about cloud processing. The biggest priority is getting access to the right hardware and keeping it close to where your GPUs are located. So that's much more important. So the thing to do here is we can look at all of these data centers, and we can see over on the right here, the types of GPUs that they have and sort of the general availability of the different GPUs. So let's just kind of take a look around here, and boom, 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 and let's find, North Carolina. Oops. great. So let's go with this one here, Illinois, and we're going to create a new network volume. Now the network volume is going to persist. We're going to be spinning up instances of our ComfyUI to run on, but we want a persistent volume because we're going to be closing this instance and coming back to it, periodically. We want a persistent volume where we can keep all of our models downloaded, any kind of LoRa's or VAEs or any other kind of file that we need to run our models. We don't want to have to go through the trouble of downloading, installing, and setting those up every time. Same with any custom ComfyUI nodes. So the persistent volume, the reason we're going to set this up, the persistent volume is we're going to hold all of that. And so when we come back to this, tomorrow or the day after that, or in 2 weeks or in a month, we're going to be able to instantly spin up an instance of ComfyUI, and it's going to have all of our settings, all of our templates, and everything's going to be just as we left it. Otherwise, the data, whatever setup we do in our ComfyUI instance is going to, sort of disappear the moment we close the instance or terminate it. So anyway, let's go with Illinois here. Okay. And, a lot of the time Runpod will just give it sort of a generic name here. And you can set this to be sort of however big you want. But, this obviously not too expensive for 10 gigs. So we're going to actually juice this because we need to download some models. So again, 50 gigs for $350 a month, not bad. Okay, so we've selected this. We've got our name for our volume, and we've set the size for it. Now, we can increase these, but we're not going to be able to ever make this volume smaller. And that's kind of standard, just as if you had a hard drive on your PC, you have to do some monkey business if you want to sort of modify the arrangement of these after you've kind of set them up. So this all looks good to me. So let's create the network volume. Okay, we're back. I shot the rest of this video, but forgot to press record. So we're going to start again. We have our network attached storage. That's all set up, and we're about to deploy a new instance. So we're in pods here. We hit deploy. First thing we need to do is choose either a GPU or a CPU. We're doing comfy work, so we're going to go with the GPU, obviously. From this, the first thing we're going to choose here is our network volume. So we have our artistic salmon cod here, and you'll notice when we select this, region is locked to US Illinois 1 because the network artistic volume, artistic salmon cod is attached. So what it's done here is we set up our network attached storage in a specific data center in Illinois, and we want our GPUs to be in that same data center. There's no point in having our GPU halfway around the world. So it's only going to show us GPUs that can be rented in the same data center as our network volume. So when we come down here, of course, we can filter by GPU VRAM that we need. We can search for specific types, or we can just take a look at all of the list. Of course, we have our premium in the top row here, the B200s, all of these, top tier. But even at $1.89 an hour, if you're doing a couple hours of work and you're going to really benefit from sort of some of that extra power, that's not a bad price. And of course, as you come down here, even $4.90, 69 cents an hour. I mean, that's better than what a lot of people have at home. Or if you want to be working off of, you can run this off of this is all in the browser. You could run this off of an iPad. You don't need to be with your beefy workstation. So, that's great. And then even this, if you come down here to the previous generation, you're going to start seeing, 25 cents an hour. So if you're building templates or just setting things up, this is a great way, 25 cents an hour, you can work on that, you can run a couple of tests, you can figure out how you're going to approach something before moving on to a more powerful production machine that you're going to run. So let's just go with a 4090. It's going to give it our pod a name here, and then we're going to choose our template. There's tons of different templates you can choose. Many of them have different things. Not all of them are Comfy related, but many of them are. And yeah, so we're actually just going to come up here, ComfyUI latest. So this is going to be a clean install of Comfy. We can choose on demand, or of course we can do a termed pricing agreement. I don't need an SSH terminal, but we are going to keep Jupyter Notebook. And then, of course, we can choose whether we want volume storage or the network volume. Volume storage will be deleted when the pod is terminated. So because we do a lot of setup, because we're going to be downloading these large models and making sure everything's working, we want to we just want to do that once, and then we want to be able to keep coming back to it. So for that reason, again, I'll just always recommend people use the network volume, and for $350 a month, hey. So there you go. And so all of that together, we're spending about $1 an hour, which, hey, that's a pretty good price. So we're gonna deploy our pod. This is gonna take a minute to spin up, and yeah, we'll just watch this here. Okay, look at that. And so, maybe that took 2 minutes. We're going to open these up here. And of course, we'll open Comfy as well. Okay. Here, we can come down here. So this is our network volume. And inside here, you're going to see, of course, this is just the regular install. This is a Comfy folder, so of course this is where we're going to end up downloading, any LoRa's to put LoRa's here, or text encoders. So this is just actually the folder structure, and all this is it's just it's hosted at a data center for us, but we can easily navigate it and manipulate it in exactly the same way as as we need. Of course, we have Jupyter. And here we can run some commands, especially sometimes downloading models, it's easier to do it through the terminal, or sometimes if we need to arrange folders inside of our network volume, sometimes it might just be easier to use the terminal for that. Okay, and then here we go. This is we got Comfy. You'll notice it comes with a couple of things sort of by default already. You can come in here and you can search for anything you need, and so this is the CiviComfy plugin. To do actual downloads, you would need to go to your CivitAI account, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, let's actually see if we can just do this. Okay. Okay, and if we go down here, and you come all the way down here. So here, so new key, and this will create this, copy that, and bring it back over here, enter the API key. So if you want to actually download, it'll ask you if you tried to start a download, but it'll say API error. But that's how you would now this knows to use your API key in order to initiate the download from CivTAI. And then, of course, we have the manager here. So through this, you have access to all kinds of great models, nodes, plugins, anything else you can imagine. That's all here for you as well. Sometimes this version isn't the most up to date. In that case, you can, of course, force an update through the terminal, and or use terminal commands to actually download, specific files that you might not, for whatever reason, you can't find. So this is a simple wget, and then of course the model and the link to the model. So one more thing here I should show for this, if we're doing that, for Hugging Face. For Hugging Face, you actually have to also set up an API key here, and I can't remember exactly where that is. Maybe it's in settings. No. Access tokens. Here we go. Well, we're not going to get into that too much, but if you do want to do from Hugging Face, if you want to download specifically via the terminal, you do end up calling href auth login, I think. Blah, blah, blah. Do you want to update now? No. Okay, here. And then here is where you would actually put your Hugging Face API token in, and then you would be able to call something like this to actually get to start a download. Otherwise, it's going to give you API error. It's just not going to work. But again, all of that you only actually have to do if you can't find what you need via the actual plugins. And then that's it, guys. Like, so this is we're running here, and let's do this. Let's oh, we're not quite running, are we? Let's get, can we just install missing custom nodes? Results. Oh, we don't actually have any models downloaded because this is a brand new instance, of course. Templates. Can we find a quick template here? These are all these are API driven models. So that I don't necessarily have those, but here we go. We're gonna get this template. We're gonna trigger this download. Once this kicks off, this is all downloading directly onto our network attached storage. And I'm going to let this cook for a second, and I'll be back when it's done. Okay, and so the downloads are complete. We did a quick, that's the other thing here too, guys. These are pages, you can reload this, and that's all fine. Our instance is still running over here. So yeah, that's all well and good. And if we came in here now, and I bet if we find checkpoints, did we get anything? Yeah. So here you can see when we triggered that download here, it's like it's actually adding things to our network volume in the correct, just like it would if you were to download it via Comfy. So we're back here. This template that we've got has an input image. I don't know. Let's get a cat. And sure. So copy image. Can come in here. Great. and 0. Okay. And so, yeah, just like the first time that you would run on a PC or workstation, this is going to take a second while it loads that model and, of course, all these other really large files onto the GPU or the server that's going to be running this instance. So it's loading all that into memory and onto the device. So I'm going to take a few seconds just to do the first loading. But after that, we're going to be harnessing this very powerful 4090, for basically $1 an hour. And so, if you needed to do 4 or 5 hours of work, hey, that's a lot cheaper than going out buying a whole new workstation or anything like that. So we're going to let this cook for a second, and when it succeeds, we'll know we're done. And then that's basically the entire setup for how to deploy Comfy to a cloud service. And also, like when we're done with this, we can stop the pod from running, and that's so this is our running pod right now. These are the two others that I had previously been working on. This is costing us 71 cents an hour. You know what I mean? So very much not even $1 an hour. And these, while they aren't running, cost us 0 because we're using the network attached or network storage. There's no cost whatsoever to just leaving those in a state that we liked them, and we can come back in here and we could start these pods back up and continue working on them whenever we wanted. So I don't like to keep too many here just because it kind of gets confusing about what I was doing on which one. But look, and then there you go. So what's the prompt here? Place the cat with the donation. Great. Good thing we found a cat. Perfect. Yeah. And so that's it, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thanks. Bye.